is blamed for everything right now, from hiring decisions to corporate failures, college admissions, even public safety. We all remember how early in 2025 DEI was being blamed for everything, from plane crashes to even the wildfires in California. But here's something strange. In all that outrage, no one seemed to ask for proof. Not opinions, not headlines, not gut feelings, actual evidence. And whenever a conversation skips evidence and jumps straight to certainty, it's usually a sign that we might be missing the point. Welcome to Miss the Point, a podcast that gets rid of the fluff, that prioritizes fact and findings over culture or politics, while getting to the point at every turn. Before we talk about DEI, we need to say something that might surprise some. Being skeptical of DEI isn't crazy. Yes, I did say that. Every idea is standalone and must be allowed the same level of critical thinking, no matter who says it. A lot of DEI programs are confusing. Like, for example, the 2015 Starbucks Race Together campaign that made baristas write "race together" on coffee cups to engage customers about race relations. They gave them no training on race relations and just sent them to the gauntlet, unprepared, against customers that just wanted a cup of joe. That turned to be super awkward by both customers and the baristas because it felt very forced and it didn't accomplish any of the goals that they had. Some others can also be seen as doing the reverse of what they were meant to do. For example, Google in 2017. They fired an employee because he claimed that biological differences explain gender gaps. Now, as unpopular and wrong one's opinion might be, the idea of those programs was to foster those type of conversations. Some others are just checking the corporate box. This company did it, so we're going to do it as a company just to be able to check it off and so that our shareholders would be happy without any thought behind it, no plan, at least no concrete plan, and nothing to really foster the type of ideas that we want, the type of success that comes with putting some of those different groups together. See, the problem isn't about questioning DEI. The problem is when the questioning stops as soon as blame is introduced. This whole thing runs deeper because once you actually look for proof, something important becomes very apparent. The apparent thing is that for something that gets blamed so often, DEI has a weird problem. There's not much evidence tying it to the failures it's accused of causing. The FAA, the NTSB, and countless other professional bodies have investigated those claims, and their official report come up never pointing to any DEI program as the culprit or even a component of those failures. What we usually hear is this: something went wrong. DEI exists somewhere in the organization in which something went wrong, and they connect the dots. But just because two things happen near each other doesn't mean that one caused the other. That's like blaming the fire alarm for the fire. DEI almost always gets blamed after something fails. Not before, not with predictions, not with numbers. And that matters because what it shows is a willful intent by some to at worst deceive and at the very minimum distract us from the point because it is wrapped as an agenda. Are you not curious to the why? See, DEI didn't suddenly become controversial because new facts came out. It became controversial because it became useful. Useful as an easy answer. Useful as a matching agenda. Useful as something they can point to instead of asking the tough accountability questions. Questions like, was leadership actually strong? Were incentives broken? Was anyone paying attention? Were protocols followed? Did employees complain or raise alerts prior and they were not taken seriously? A lot of people calling for merit-based systems don't seem very interested in applying that idea evenly. More on that. Merit suddenly became important only after more people were allowed to compete. And even worse, those who are screaming at the top of their lungs are emperors with no clothes. Pause. What I mean by that is that when you look at their qualifications compared to their predecessors or their peers, they do not measure up by even their own qualifiers. You see, thing is, merit didn't change. Access is what did. Because if merit is really the answer, then we should be able to talk about it clearly. That means asking things like, what counts as merit? Who decides? And was it measured the same way before? Because if standards were lower in the past, but less visible, that's not merit. That's comfort. Now, merit is commonly framed in the business world like this. One, competence, which is your skills and your knowledge. Performance, which is the results and the work quality that you bring. The experience, which is the relevant background. And then the potential, which is the ability to grow or take on responsibility. Now, if merit matters now, it should have mattered then too, right? So instead of arguing in circles, here's what actually matters. Let's quickly unpack qualifications and outcomes before and after DEI became controversial. Not to win an argument, but to find out whether the argument was ever about DEI at all. If performance didn't drop, if qualifications didn't collapse, if outcomes didn't suddenly get worse, then DEI wasn't the cause. It was the explanation people reached for when things got uncomfortable or convenient. None of this means DEI is perfect. In my second post, we saw exactly how DEI often misses the point by not going far enough, or being implemented in a way to actually foster personal change and not just corporate, which is what I believe, and we can have that in another conversation, or you can tell me in the comments what you believe really would foster personal change. But what it does mean is that negative claims should be backed up. And that's not just those brought against DEI, but all types of claims should always be backed up. See, when a debate is louder than the evidence behind it, that usually is not a policy problem. Most often, it means you're being led to a scripted ending. It's a distraction. And that is how we miss the point. I absolutely loved having you on this deconstruction ride with me, and if this has brought you any perspective or even allowed you to change your mind on how you look at things, whether you agree or not, then please subscribe and give this a like. We have a fantastic voyage ahead, slicing and dicing through everyday things folks like us are being told in order to either deceive us or in order for them to control the narrative. Here, we won't let them get away with it. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay alert, and don't fall for the okie doke. Peace.